Well, thank you, everybody. Thanks for joining us. And it's such a great benediction for me to get a chance to do this and talk to some old friends and maybe make some new friends and discuss the teachings of His Divine Grace Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj, uh, which we don't want to fall into disuse or um, oblivion, olvido, as we say in Spanish, the oblivion of forgetfulness. Uh, every generation of gurus has their own particular point of view and message. But Srila Sridhar Maharaj's message, we feel, was timeless and transcends different camps and points of view. So when we left off, he was talking about Tadvidi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te ganinas tattvadarshina. This verse from the Gita. To understand transcendental knowledge, you must approach a self-realized soul, accept him as your spiritual master, and take initiation from him. Inquire submissively and render service unto him. Self-realized souls can impart knowledge unto you, for they have seen the truth. And we were pointing this out that it says Ganinas Tattvadarshina, the Tattvadarshis, those who can see truth, uh, those who can see reality are fit to become guru. But really, we want to go beyond Ganinas Tattvadarshina. We want to go beyond simple knowledge. We're not interested in Jnana Tattva so much as we are Krishna Tattva. And so when I was discussing this, I mentioned uh, I mentioned this verse from the Chaitanya Charitamrita by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, where he says, Kiba Vipra, Kiba Shudra. I, I, I have this on my computer here. Just give me a moment. That's it. Kiba Vipra, Kiba Nyasi, Shudra Kani Noy, Jai Krishna Tattva Veta, Se Guru Hoy. So we're interested in Krishna Tattva, not necessarily Gyan. Uh, there's different gurus, and different gurus can give you different kinds of learning or knowledge or information, but we're specifically interested in Krishna Tattva. So the verse says, whether one is a Brahmana, a sannyasi, or a Shudra, regardless of what he is, he can become a spiritual master if he knows the science of Krishna. And Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada comments on this. He says, this is very important to the Krishna consciousness movement. In his Amrita Pravaha Bhashya, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains that one should not think that because Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was born a Brahmana and situated in the topmost spiritual order as a sannyasi, that it was improper for him to receive instructions from Srila Ramananda Roy, who belonged to the Shudra caste. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur had a commentary on the Chaitanya Charitamrita called the Amrita Pravaha Bhashya, and that's reproduced in the publication of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So we consider this highly authoritative. And there he's pointing out that the owner of Gopi Bhav in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Ramananda Roy, the Ramananda Roy Samvad, is the highest discussion of uh, Vaishnava ontology that we know. But this is coming from Ramananda Roy, who is nominally a member of the Shudra caste. So I'm quoting this so if I say, well, Ramananda Roy was a Shudra, I'm quoting this so you can see I'm not just making it up. This is Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and he's saying, well, it doesn't matter that Ramananda Roy belonged to the Shudra caste. To clarify this matter, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu informed Ramananda Roy that knowledge of Krishna consciousness is more important than caste. So we're interested in Krishna Tattva. It says, Ganinas Tattva Darshina. We want to go to the Guru to get higher knowledge. But this higher knowledge is really Krishna Tattva. And the qualified Guru is capable of distributing this Krishna Tattva may not necessarily belong to the Brahmana caste. In the system of Varnashram Dharma, Prabhupada continues, there are various duties for the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas, and Shudras. Actually, the Brahmana is supposed to be the spiritual master of all other varnas or classes. But as far as Krishna consciousness is concerned, everyone is capable of becoming a spiritual master because knowledge in Krishna consciousness is on the platform of the spirit soul. So there's no question here of the Western devotees and the Eastern devotees, or my guru comes from India and he's a Brahmin, therefore he's superior to your guru. Srila Prabhupada did not recognize this kind of distinction, and neither did Srila Sridhar Maharaj. Srila Sridhar Maharaj, the author of our book, was in fact a very high caste Smarta Brahmana, but he saw in Govinda Maharaj an even greater spiritual realization than his own. And he said this many times. He said, in many ways, Govinda Maharaj is more qualified than I am. Meaning, Govinda Maharaj, from birth practically, was a great Vaishnava devotee. He never got involved in something like Smarta Brahmanism. And so Srila Sridhar Maharaj was almost apologizing for having been born in such a high caste by saying the Vaishnavas are more than that. So this is confirmed here by Srila Prabhupada in his purport. And so to continue the reading here, we were reading Tadvadi Pranipatena. Self-realized souls can impart knowledge unto you, for they have seen the truth. We're on page 3. Qualifications of a disciple. Here, Krishna has given us the standard by which we can understand what is what from a bona fide source. The standard to measure truth or untruth must not come from a vitiated, vulnerable plane, but from a real plane. So, again, we're interested in Krishna Tattva. There are many different things that we may be able to learn from different branches of Vedic science. There's Vedic medicine, Vedic astrology, and so on. I was giving the recipe for Te Chai before we began recording. But this is not really the true purpose of Gurudev. To realize that, we must have these 3 qualifications, pranipat, pariprashna, and seva. Pranipat means we must surrender to this knowledge, for it is not an ordinary class of knowledge, which as a subject we can make our object. It is supersubjective. We may be subjects in this mundane world, but we will have to become objects to be handled by the superknowledge of that plane. Actually, I read this last week. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. Uh, so a candidate must have these three qualifications before he can approach the truth, which is on the higher plane of absolute reality. He can approach the absolute truth only with an attitude of humility, sincerity, and dedication. There are similar statements in the Bhagavatam and the Vedas, Upanishads, Tadviganartam Sagurum Evabhigachat Samit Pani Shrotrium Brahmanishtam. Approach a spiritual master. Do not go to him hesitatingly or haphazardly, but with a clear and earnest heart. And then we come to this subheading, Spiritual Life, a one-way ticket. One should not approach the spiritual master cutting a return ticket. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada used to always say, "You have come here cutting a return ticket." We must not approach the spiritual master with that attitude. So this comes from a talk that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta once gave, where he was at a festival. I'm not sure where, maybe it was in Kurukshetra. And so many devotees would come for the big festival and take prasadam and feel very happy about spending a few days worshiping the deity and listening to the talks. But the very next day, uh, they threw it away. As George Michael said,
Yes.
last Christmas I gave you my heart, but
The
the
very
very next day you threw it away. So they would come to the festival and give everything for 3 days, but then the very next day they would go home and say goodbye to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and the Gaudiya Math. And Saraswati Thakur was not so happy with this. He said, "Well, you're sitting here and I'm giving this talk about surrender and Sri Krishna, the search for Sri Krishna. And all of you are saying, yes, this is wonderful. What nectar. But the very next day, you're going back to your ordinary materialistic life and ignoring everything that we just talked about. But you should not go to the spiritual master with this kind of attitude. You should give everything. Don't go with a return ticket in your hand." And specifically, that cuts deep. Saraswati Thakur used to say a sadhu is one who cuts, but that's kind of a cutting thing. If we think, oh, I'm like that, I don't give 100%. But he had a particular situation in the 1920s and 30s in India where people would listen to him and think, oh, yes, this is very nice, and not really pay very much attention and go away. Uh, we don't want to, he said, you're coming with the attitude of a return ticket. And Srila Sridharmas would also sometimes chide us, uh, saying, you've come to me because you want to gut something and put it in your pocket and walk away with it, go back to the West and use it. And that was so true. We can see that many of those who sat at the feet of Srila Sridhar Maharaj did so thinking, well, this will bolster my reputation among the devotees when I return from India with a few new ideas. Just like when a new president or a new prime minister wants to establish his bona fides, he travels to a big conference in Switzerland, in Davos, and there the G20 or the G7, they meet. And he has his photo taken with the other great leaders of the moment to demonstrate his bona fides on the world stage. Uh, so Srila Sri Ramakrishna knew many of you are coming to me. You want me to give you some kind of benediction, sannyas even, uh, some my stamp of approval, so that you can return and tell people now you're a real guru. But this is not the attitude that one should adopt when one approaches the spiritual master. It should be done in the mood of sincere submission. That just as Arjuna, when he turns to Krishna and says, Karpunya, Doho, uh, that line, Shishasteham Sharimam Te Prapanam. Now I surrender to you. I want to be your disciple. He's going to Krishna, hat in hand, so to speak, and saying, I don't know what I'm doing. I think I know what Dharma is, but really, I have no idea. I'm lost. So in that mood, we should go to the master, not thinking, I know it, I have it, I saw it, I read it. Yeah, go ahead, say those words again. I like to hear them. Oftentimes, I used to tell Goswami Maharaj after our Sunday feast, I would go down and give the lecture. And I have a certain ability to give lectures, but I'm not that great at socializing. So I would go down and give the lecture and feel very happy. And other devotees would then hobnob with the guests and make sure they gave donations and things. But I wasn't so adept at that. But oftentimes I would tell Goswami Maharaj, it seems to me sometimes the devotees, they just want to hear some kind of spiritual noise, absolute truth, transcendental, Satchidananda, Paramatma, plenary expansion. And they hear these words and think, oh, that was nice. I'll have some prasadam and go home. But really, what Srila Sridhar Maharaj is trying to say is, we should try to take this to heart. It's not a superficial thing. We should not approach the spiritual master cutting a return ticket. Prabhupada used to say, you've come here cutting a return ticket. We must not approach the spiritual master with that attitude. Rather, we should think that we've seen everything, that we have full experience of this mortal world, and that we have nothing to aspire to here. So come to the guru with that attitude. I have nothing more to learn from the material world. The material world is fine. It has many wonderful things, but I'm looking for something higher. With this clear consciousness, we should approach the guru. This is the only way for us to live. This world is mortal. There's no means, no possibility of living here. And yet the will to live is an innate tendency everywhere. Now, one might take it that this is a sort of fatalistic point of view that, oh, this world is Maya, it's all dirt, it's uh, it's a terrible place. We want to get out of here as soon as possible. But that would be an argument for suicide, and Srila Sridhar Maharaj is not uh, encouraging that kind of attitude. In fact, everywhere he says, every wave is favorable. This this world is favorable. So while you can understand this material world is temporary, it's not the ultimate reality, and yet it's beautiful. Everything here is a miracle. I saw something from Adwa, I think it was the other day. He said, I'm not sure if I see the big picture. I'm not sure if I can see the absolute truth. It's a big thing. Uh, I can see the little things. So it's important to be able to see divinity in the little things, in the little miracles. See, it's a miracle that the sun shines. Now, the scientists have their ideas, and And they'll explain to us how helium gas, fuses into some uh, explosion that creates energy. But that doesn't prevent me from seeing the sun as a miracle. Huh? There's a certain magic in the sun, in the moon, in fire, in living and breathing, and the bird song in the morning. And if you can't see that magic, then you're a stone-hearted materialist. Huh? But even if you can see that magic, you want something higher, you want something deeper, and that's the Krishna conception. So Srila Sri Ramakrishna is not ruling out the magic of this world, saying it's all hell, it's all dark, it's all Kali Yuga. No, but he's saying you can go higher, you can go deeper. I only want to live and save myself. I'm running to the real shelter. With this earnestness, the disciple will bring his spiritual master the necessary materials for sacrifice. So if you go to a teacher, you have to bring him something. It says bring fire for sacrifice, bring wood. That's what the Upanishad says. Tadviganartam saguram eva bikarshat samit pani shrotriam brahmanishtam. Carry something in your hand. Bring some wood to make a fire. So what is that wood? That's your earnestness. That's your inner determination to go higher, to go deeper, to make a spiritual fire. Let those sparks rise up to the highest fire, the spiritual light. Because without that, what can the spiritual master do? If you go to him and say, okay, teach me, then he'll say, okay, where's the wood? Show me some wood. I can make a fire with that. What do you have? Or as the Japanese say, bring me, uh, bring me some iron and I can make you a sword. But if the disciple comes with nothing, only the desire to take and take and take, then you might get something, but you won't get the master to make you a sword. You have to bring him some iron. With this earnestness, the disciple will bring his spiritual master the necessary materials for sacrifice. He won't go to his spiritual master only to trouble the guru, but will approach him with his own necessities already supplied. He will go there with his own bed and baggage. Not that he will show some kindness to the spiritual master and give him name and fame by becoming his disciple. And uh, Srila Sridhar Maharaj also had the experience that some brahmacharis wanted to put him as the head of their spiritual mission and then use him to collect donations and create a temple. And they said, well, we'll have a society and each one of us can vote. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj said, well, there's two of you and there's one of me. So when there's a vote, how does that come out? It's 2-1. That's when he found Govinda Maharaj, and he gave everything to Govinda Maharaj because he understood this man. But sometimes unscrupulous men and women will think, well, we can create a spiritual society with this person as the titular head. Uh, he will be Guru Dev, and we'll collect the donations and give something to make a building. And we're in the temple business. It's a good business. But Srila Sridhar says, no, this is not the point. Gorkishore Das Babaji Maharaj, he did not have a temple. He lived, sometimes he lived under a boat by the Ganges. Uh, but, and he criticized, don't try to collect lots of money and build big temples and create a huge organization. That will corrupt you. The problem is we like having a big organization. We like belonging to something. But then, as Srila Sridhar Maharaj pointed out, there's society consciousness and God consciousness. The society has its own life. In the United States, a corporation legally is a person. So it has The corporation has its own personal interest, but it may be apart from the spiritual interest. So don't try to use the guru for your purpose. And what will be the spiritual master's position? He will be well versed in the revealed truth, not in ordinary information. Well, this is important too. You can ask Guru, do you think it's going to rain today? Say, yes, I believe it. I believe it's going to rain. Then if it doesn't rain, does that mean he's fallible? He didn't give you the right information. Oh no, he made a big mistake. So there may be aspects of uh, practical life where Gurudev makes a recommendation, but it may not always be uh, perfect. It may fall under the heading of ordinary information, and that may pertain to the corporation. The information about the corporation may not be. So I think even in the Catholic Church, they have some doctrine where on certain occasions, what what the Pope says, emits a papal bull or something, and that is supposed to be infallible. But the rest of the time, his opinion about linguini, may not be 100% infallible. Hadwai smiles. I'm told that Italians can be particular about their linguini. You can't mix this, you can't put that, you know. So one Italian pope may have a particular opinion about spaghetti. The other one is, no, no, it's fettuccine. But does that mean his theological view on, you know, Augustinian Christianity is fallible? See? So we trust Srila Sridhar Maharaj when he speaks on ontology. We trust Govinda Maharaj. Later, for example, in ISKCON, this book really came about uh, as a consequence of so many schisms and different camps that arose when Srila Prabhupada left the planet, because his disciples, and rightly so, tried to continue his line, but they had different approaches. So we went to Srila Sridhar Maharaj and said, well, which approach is the correct one? How do we view this? And he spoke uh, the truths that we found here. And 50 years later, ISKCON is still there. They still have temples. Are they teaching the same thing? Maybe not, you know? Is it absolutely transparent? Maybe not. Did Srila Prabhupada, when he selected certain members of certain groups to continue his work, did he make absolutely the right organizational decision at the appropriate time? What? You can't really say that absolutely everything that the guru says and does is 100% infallible. But we,
That's
we can say that sometimes divine truth is being transmitted through him. Advai. Yeah. Oh.
no, no, you were making such like a pregnant point there, like so heavy in the real good sense of heavy.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's a very important point. See? So if you ask Govinda Maharaj, you think it's going to rain today, Maharaj? He looks at the sky and it's completely blue. And he says, no, there's not a cloud in the sky. But in Bengal, they have this thing called Kala Shatabai. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but I remember it because I was there in Navadvip one time when the sky was clear blue. And then, boom, out of nowhere, big black clouds, monsoon rain, and 2 feet of rain dropped in about half an hour. And I said, Govinda Maharaj, what is this? He said, well, sometimes happens. Kala Shatabar, the rain comes. So you cannot demand that the guru can predict the sun, the rain. Uh, that's not his job. That's not what he's setting out to do. He, he will be well versed in the revealed truth, not in ordinary information. So, in a recommendatory way, uh, Guru, he may feel, how are you doing today, Gurudev? I'm fine. I feel 100%. Yeah, who do you want to succeed you in the mission? Oh, I don't know. Really? I have to think about that now? How about him? And then, oh, the next day, he's gone. And everybody looks at him. And that guy turns out to make some bad decisions. So do we blame Gurudev for that? No, that's not really uh, my business. It's not my business to,
Mm.
as we say, be a Monday, American expression, to be a Monday morning quarterback. We look at the football game from the day before and we say, well, if only number 9 had made a XY move, the game would have been, but shoulda, coulda, woulda, it doesn't fly. You can't apply that backwards, you know? Whoever is running whatever mission, they can see X Maharaj is a good administrator. Maybe he'll do a good job running the mission. But trying to predict that, it's like trying to predict the stock market. You can't really say. You can take a snapshot of somebody's heart at a given moment and say, wow, this man is a saint. But things change. I'm changed. When I was 35 years old, I was an absolute saint. Now I'm 71. I'm not, you know? In fact, I realized that my 35-year-old self maybe wasn't really such a great saint after all. But had I died in the middle of producing Sri Guru and His Grace, I'm sure I would have gone directly back to Godhead, It would, right? It would have been a good career move, but living as long as I have probably hasn't been such a good career move. So there's being well versed in temporal truth. It's nice. Like I said in our last talk, Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he liked it that his disciples were educated, but it's not a necessary qualification. You don't have to read a lot of books to be a lover of Krishna. The gopis are not erudite scholars, right? Ramananda Roy, of course, lives in a different plane. Revelation in many shades has been spread in the world from the upper realm, but the guru must have some spacious graphic knowledge. Now, again, remember that when Srila Sridhar Maharaj is talking about the guru, he's really thinking about Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Not everyone has that adhikar. The guru must have some spacious graphic knowledge. He must have extensive knowledge about the revealed truth. And he must also always be practicing real spiritual life. His activities are all connected with spirit, not with the mundane world. He's concerned with Brahman, the plane which can accommodate everything. And this word Brahman in Sanskrit, it really sort of translates spirit. It's different from the word Brahmana, which is a spiritually qualified member of society, and Brahma, the creator. This word Brahman, Brahmanishtam, he should be fixed in Brahma. He's concerned with Brahman, the plane which can accommodate everything, the fundamental basis of everything. Not that he is leading his life with any mortal, mundane reference. He always lives in the transcendental plane and keeps himself in connection with that plane his whole life. Now, that doesn't mean if you are a devotee of Krishna, it doesn't mean that you have no material activities. We live in a world that's saturated with karma. So it's impossible to even milk a cow without all these different karmic situations coming into play, you know. You need transportation for that cow, right? That implies gasoline. That implies wars in the Middle East. Karma is a very tricky thing. But the point is, Brahmanishtam means you're fixed in spiritual life. That's where you're coming from. That's what inspires you. That's what moves you. Your your material activities are are based around your spiritual investiture. He always lives in that transcendental plane and keeps himself in connection with that plane his whole life. So if Govinda Maharaj is driving a car, there's nothing materialistic about that, you see, because his intention is all spiritual. That's the message of Bhagavad Gita. Uh, Whatever he does, he will do only with that consciousness. This is the version of the Upanishads. And in the Bhagavatam, it is also said, Tasmad Gurum Prapadyeta Jigyasu Shreya Uttamam Shabde Parecha Nishnatam Brahmani Upashamashraya. Srila Sridhar says, Maya means misconception. We're living in the midst of misconception. So don't look to YouTube for the truth. I remember I was a big fan of Bob Dylan in the 1960s, and I remember seeing an interview with him. It's in that movie, Don't Look Back. He's being interviewed by a reporter from Time magazine. This is like 1965. And the reporter asks him something. And Dylan looks at him with a sneer and he says, You're not going to read the truth in Time magazine. You know, come on. You think you're going to find the truth in Time magazine? Like, don't ask me about the truth. You're not going to, you're a reporter. You think you're interested in truth. You're not printing the truth. You know, you won't find the truth on the internet. I have a devotee friend who sends me messages because he asks ChatGPT about the absolute truth. He asks artificial intelligence about, Krishna consciousness. And then he gets messages as if it's an oracle. But you're not going to find the truth on ChatGPT. It's misleading. It's misconception. Why not? Well, because ChatGPT, it's basically, or artificial intelligence, it's basically a smart compendium of millions and millions of Wikipedia articles, right? Who were written by people like you and me. So, you know, the sum total of ignorance does not equal the truth. 10,000 flies can't be wrong. So the internet is a very interesting place, but you can't find the truth on there. I looked up Srila Sridhar Maharaj on Wikipedia the other day for some reason, and there was a nice article about him. And then I went back to that a year later for a different reason, and the article had been removed. Somebody should take charge of writing a nice Wikipedia article about Srila Sridhar Maharaj. But if that's removed from Wikipedia, what else is removed? You won't find the truth on the internet, you know. You won't find the truth in on television. What is television for? Television is for selling you something. That's all it is. My father worked in advertising and then in television when there were three networks, ABC, CBS, NBC. And the whole point of any of that programming is so that it can be interrupted with uh, advertisement and they can sell you something. Otherwise, it won't fly. They won't put it on. So all these, TV gurus, internet gurus, good luck with that. Here you have the truth and nothing but. Maya means misconception. We are living in the midst of misconception. Our understanding of the environment is based on a completely misconceived set of ideas and thoughts. How can he say that? Well, because you are Atma. I am Atma. The idea that I can live in this world forever and be happy here is a misconception. It's patently not true, right? In India, sometimes you see this very clearly. I remember being in Calcutta, and there was this huge, giant billboard uh, for Wonder Bra, showing a just gorgeous 25-year, I don't know, 15-year-old girl with a Wonder Bra. And underneath the billboard were like 5 different families were living in squalor, cooking on little Primus stove, cooking up their rice. And you could see, wait a minute, this is the illusion, but that's the reality. Misconception. Hollywood tells you, be beautiful forever. Put this cream on your skin. Take these pills. Take Viagra. You'll be a, a more macho man, you know. But what's the reality? Big movie stars, they work hard, sign contracts, you know. They have legions of fans, and they develop a tremendous amount of karma and invest all that karma in a beautiful home in Malibu, California, where they can sit and smoke marijuana on the front desk, on the front deck with Brad Pitt and Julia Roberts and George Clooney looking out at the ocean, bikinied girls going, wow, we've made it. Isn't this it? This is incredible. And the next day, burned to ashes, burned to coal, burned black, nothing left. That's the material world. I have a cousin who runs an old folks home in Pasadena for old burned out actors who were long forgotten. And they made $1 million movies back in the day, but now they're begging for cigarettes on the streets of Pasadena. So this is misconception. It's not real. That doesn't mean that the scientists know nothing. It doesn't mean that the earth is flat or Einstein was wrong about everything, you know? But it's misdirection, like a magician. It's misconception. Our understanding of the environment is based on a completely misconceived set of ideas and thoughts. Yeah, especially uh, the idea of exploitation. You see, and it's not that we have such a bone to pick with science, but uh, the idea that all knowledge must be used for exploitation and all exploitation must be capitalized and monetized. That's driving uh, civilization into ruin and oblivion. So this is incomplete. And that's only in the material world. You might develop a better economic model that would be more in the mode of goodness, but you're still living in the world of misconception. We have no proper conception of anything in the absolute sense. Our ideas are all relative. Provincial selfishness has been imposed on the environment, and we're living under that misconception. So people say, oh, Srila Sridhar Maharaj, I can't understand him. My computer's falling over. I have the weight of my computer is falling over. The weight of misconception is upon us. Hello, we're back. This is Mahayogi broadcasting live from a secure, undisclosed location deep in the heart of Mexico. Yeah. Our ideas are all relative. Oh, the same. People think that, oh, Srila Sridhar Maharaj is so difficult to understand. But he's not. He's just telling you something that's going to rock your world if you pay attention to it. Our ideas are all relative. Provincial selfishness has been imposed on the environment. Think about it. What does that mean? Provincial selfishness has been imposed upon the environment. Is that, you better believe it. When one comes to the conclusion that everything around him is mortal and that everything will vanish, then with that mood, he will feel the necessity of approaching the guru. So when I was a child, I used to live in Hollywood and the Pacific. I grew up in the Pacific Palisades, by the way, which my house, when I was a child, my house burned to ashes last week in that fire. But not just my house, the house next door, the house across the street, where I used to play with my cowboys and Indians with my brother. My high school was burned to the ground, right? My elementary school was burned to the ground. The Catholic Church, where I was baptized Catholic at the wee age of 3 years old or something, was burned to the ground. But I could see back in the 60s, my father was a successful business executive, but I could see this is not real. This is not true. Vietnam War, all kinds of war against black people, war against India and Pakistan, nuclear war on the horizon. They used to make us crawl under the desk at a given signal and cradle our head in our hands and pray to God as a test. They would say, all right, everyone, this is a drill, drop. And then you had to drop and hide underneath your desk. So I had this impending sense of atomic war, which of course is still there. There's no reason to believe it isn't, but the makers of propaganda who rule us have decided that it's not wise to keep people in that level of existential panic. They want to keep you like at a simmer, where you're simmering just enough to be afraid so that you follow all the rules. But as a child on a carousel reaches for the gold ring, they want you to go round and round and round on the wheel of birth and death and samsara, and reach out, see if you can get that golden ring this time, you know. So this is the world of misconception. Everything is wired for exploitation. Provincial selfishness has been imposed on the environment. Check it out. See if that's true. Do some research.
What does that even mean?
Provincial selfishness?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
local interest?
Yeah. Well, provincial
Party?
Yeah. Well, see, Srila Sridhar, she's always using this philosophical language, right? Provincial, it's a particular understanding, like in Ireland, they have provinces, don't they?
Yeah, but like that means small-mindedness.
Exactly. So provincial interest,
Oh,
so, and that's imposed on the environment. So, but of course, when he says environment, he's not being a green environmentalist. He's talking about,
conscious.
Buloka, the material world, and provincial interest means your own egoistic point of view, but see, I'm
So
always,
that's
yeah,
if by this being imposed implies that that's how you see the world.
me,
No, the provincial interest has been imposed on the environment, which means your consciousness, which means that's how you perceive the world.
that's right. What he's saying is, instead of taking care of your own self-interest, which means atma,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to ego. So your provincial, it's just provincial selfishness. That means ego, right? Imposed on the environment. It means you're not you, but one is looking on the environment from the point of view of ego. How does this satisfy me? What can I get out of this? So on the micro level, that means I'm trying to get what I can as a consumer. I want to consume as much as I can, as long as I can. Whoever dies with the most toys wins. That's my ego point of view. If I have more sex, more drugs, more rock and roll, good for me. See, that's provincial self-interest. And exploiting the environment, my environment is the objective world around me. So I don't know, is that clear?
Yep, thank you.
But I don't know, I was thinking more on a macro level. See,
Right. But
that,
it means micro.
well, the funny thing is, as Srila Sridhar Maharaj is speaking, you can take it on more than one level.
Okay.
You can say that he's talking about provincial self-interest in terms of, the national interest of, Russia, say, is one
Oh,
thing, but the national interest of Ukraine is different. But what's the net result? The fields of Ukraine are being bombarded, the Russians are being killed. So exploitation and destruction. In other words, there's this sort of karmic circle in place based on egoism. And I'm sorry, I don't want to get too far afield of what Srila Sridhar Maharaj is saying, but I'm just saying, you can take that one thing that he says. Provincial self-interest has been imposed on the environment. Yeah, you have to think that's passive. Who's doing the imposing?
Maya, Davy.
Yeah, but but the thing is, Maya, it's not necessarily that Maya is the devil and the devil made me do it.
The leprechauns made me do it.
Yeah, the leprechauns made me do it. It was Maya. I'm sorry, it was Maya, Prabhu. Yeah. But he's saying, look, that's coming from your own ego. Don't blame Maya. But it's a sort of symbiotic relationship. You're invested in Maya, and Maya's invested in you, and it's hard to disentangle oneself. Hmm? Our ideas are all relative. So if you go to school, they'll tell you, okay, well, this year we're going to focus on inclusiveness, or this year we're going to focus on students have to be more pragmatic, uh, you know, but it's all relative. It will never focus on, all right, you have to lose your ego. It's not a practical matter. John Stuart Mill does not like the idea of overcoming one's ego. It's not part of his philosophy. You know, that's Eastern philosophy. That's Buddhism or Hinduism or something. You know, he's interested in the greatest good for the most people. So if there's 15 people, 15 people in a lifeboat and there's only rations for 14, who do you throw overboard? You know, the teacher, the yoga teacher, or the engineer? You know, that's John Stuart Mill. This is what they teach in the school. But this is relative, you know what I mean? Anyways, I'm still coming off a cold, so I hope my talk is not too feverish. Our ideas are all relative. Provincial selfishness has been imposed on the environment, and we're living under that misconception. So let's take it that this, he's talking about the ego,
Mm-hmm.
the relationship between the ego and Maya. When one comes to the conclusion that everything around him is mortal and that everything will vanish, then with that mood, he will feel the necessity of approaching the guru. So I was saying, you know, when I grew up, I saw, well, this is all, we're on the verge of having everything being destroyed by the atomic bomb. You know, it's all temporal, but they don't want to talk about that, you know. But that was one of the things that impelled me to see, well, isn't there something higher than this? You know, Catholicism is nice. It is. It gives you comfort when a loved one dies. You can go to the church, you know, secula, secularum, and all that good stuff, you know. But it's really more like the glue that holds the materialistic conception together, you know. Because the same people who are telling you, yeah, you know, you'll go to heaven, are the same people that tell you, but go to heaven for God and country and serve Nixon. You know, it just seemed so vapid and superficial and banal. So I was looking for something higher. When one comes to the conclusion that everything around him is mortal and that everything will vanish, then with that mood, he will feel the necessity of approaching the guru. I don't know. What was your experience?
Same as yours. I just looked around and thought, is this all there is, you know? I even had Vai Krishna Prabhu said to me about 10 years ago, if that's all there is, give me a gun now and I'll shoot myself.
Well, Adwai?
Yeah, no, it's that's it. I was talking like to a relative like a couple of years ago, and she was going, "How can you believe in this whole transcendental thing? And we are here now. That's what we have." And I said, "Look, if that's it, you know, what surrounds us now, and that's it. There's nothing higher." I said again to that person, "Give me a gun, and I'll finish it now, because I don't see I need to see a bigger sense to everything. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense." And
Right. That was what Albert Camus said. He said, well, either life is absurd or it isn't. If it's absurd, then we should leave now. So what is the point? There must be some meaning or not. You know, he was existentialist. He said, well, you should find your own meaning, but that's proven to be too difficult. Most people can't find their own meaning. And that's why we need Gurudev. Gurudev can show us, well, actually, there is something higher, you know? Search for Sri Krishna, reality, the beautiful. With this inquiry, we should approach the spiritual master. So you come to that point where, what is this? There must be something higher. Then try to find out someone who is fixed in that something higher. Who will he approach? Who will he approach? One who is not only well versed in the precepts of the revealed scriptures, but who has also come in contact with the revealed truth. And this is interesting too, because like I said, well, you come to the conclusion, if there's nothing higher, find me a gun, you know?
I mean, life is hard. Why suffer every day? You know?
Right. So, but you're not alone. See, you're not the first person who thought of that.
Okay.
You know, human civilization's been around for a few million years, maybe, in one form or another, you know, since the Neanderthals or whoever.
But self-preservation is the first law of nature. It's supposed to be the most strongest primitive force within us.
Sure,
If
that's
you
right.
become that,
Even the mosquito wants to self-preserve, you know?
yes. So if we can just cast that aside in a whim and jump off a bridge in a whim,
Then
the
that makes you
strongest,
superior to the,
strongest drive to survive within us. If we, how can a 20-year-old girl killed herself here last weekend? How can you just overcome such the most strongest drive within us like that?
yeah, so in a sense, you know, that is one of the factors that makes the human form of life, the human being, distinct from other members of the animal kingdom. Animals don't commit suicide. Human beings, we have some conscience. Shakespeare says we avoid suicide because conscience doth make cowards of us all, because
Hmm.
the fear of something beyond this life is compelling. But it's more than fear of something beyond this life, as you point out. Uh, the impulse to survive is primordial. But
Would
what I'm getting at is Camus is not the first person to
no.
talk about meaning and why life should or should not have a meaning. These are ideas that have been rehearsed for thousands of years by greater minds than you or I, you know, Plato, Socrates, uh, you know, Cicero, Nietzsche. There's all these great philosophers thought about these things. And beyond philosophers, there's the saints. And what's the difference? Well, the saints have some experience of divine reality. And it's not just one saint, there's thousands and thousands of saints.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody says people is full of trash nourishment. Yeah. But the point is, these saints, out of 1,000 saints, one of them will come to write something down that is considered deep and profound and useful. And out of thousands of writings like that, you get the scriptures. So what are the scriptures? The scriptures, it's like the Wikipedia, it's like the vast compendium of spiritual experience over thousands of years, uh, informing us. Look, divine reality is like this. And the guru is someone who has experience of that and also has his own personal spiritual attainment, his own personal uh, experience of divine reality. And so not everyone who has experience of divine reality is capable of guiding others or being a guru. And not everyone with a good understanding of the scriptures can do that. But when that's combined, that's very powerful. And we find in such a personality uh, someone who's capable of guiding us. So Srila Sridhar says, who will he approach? One who is not only well versed in the precepts of the revealed scriptures, but who has also come in contact with the revealed truth. One who is conversant with the very object of the scriptures and who has practical experience, who is established in pure consciousness, is a genuine guru. one should approach such a guide for his own relief to understand what is the highest benefit in the world and how to attain it. So it's not enough to have a problem and think, oh, well, what can I do about it? You know, there's the gun, there's the job, there's the wife, there's the church, you know. It's not enough to go to a book and see, all right, well, Albert Camus, he's got some good ideas over here. And, you know, my science teacher has some good ideas. No, we're looking for someone who has an, an intuitive understanding of God, Krishna, and a profound grasp of the scriptures. And one should approach such a guide for his own relief to understand what is the highest benefit in the world and how to attain it. This is necessary. And then Srila Sri Rama says, it is real. It is not imaginary. At the same time, it is difficult. The absolute truth must be sought out through a real process. Otherwise, we should go the wrong way and then say, oh, there's nothing here. It's not real. So only if we follow the real process of understanding the truth will we experience the real nature of divinity. So if you just joined us, we're giving a reading of Sri Guru and His Grace by His Divine Grace Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Dev Goswami. And I'm trying to enliven the reading a little bit with a few observations. I hope I haven't gone too far away from the text, but I hope that with your help and your good association, I've been able to channel a little bit of Srila Sridhar Maharaj's message.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mahayaki Prabhu.
Any questions?
No way. Not
I'm trying to do justice to, I think, you know, getting back to like the student has to bring some wood, you know, to make the fire. And depending on the kind of wood that you bring and how much, and if there's any kindling, you know, what can you do with that? How big a fire can you build? It's up to us then, as the disciples of such a great master, to take his message to heart and try to live it. And some of us, in my case, part of my living the message I was taught is to try to defend it, make an apology. And I think if you look at history and you look at the big disciples of big gurus and philosophers, their job was to defend the teachings of the master. Srila Rupa Goswami writes the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu and many other books, but Srila Rupa Goswami maybe doesn't defend all the principles of Gaudiya Vaishnavism. He leaves out to Jiva Goswami. And the story goes that some fool came to Vrindavan to defeat Rupa Goswami, and he went to Rupa and Sanatan and said, I am a big pundit, and would you like to debate me? And they said, no. Why? All right, well then sign here. What does it say? It says that I've defeated you. Oh yeah, in debate. Oh, okay, they sign. And then the pundit showed that around to some other folks in Vrindavan.
Then came Jiva.
Yeah. They said, well, where's the signature? I don't see Jiva Goswami on it. And he said, so who's he? Well, you should go to him. And so he went to Jiva Goswami, and of course, Jiva Goswami defended Rupa Goswami and crushed the Pandit and defeated him, and he became Jiva Goswami's disciple. That was the end of him. Because Jiva Goswami felt it was his particular mission to defend what was said by Rupa and Sanatan and Kaviraj Goswami, if somebody had a differing point of view. And I think for me, and maybe also for you, it may be worthwhile to try to defend the conclusions of Gurudev. But each disciple, student, follower will do that in his own particular way, you know. So this is mine. And I thank you all for, especially Shivashini Meenakshi Sundaram and Tapanandini and Panashish Prabhu and Advai Krishna Prabhu. They're in the far north. But Scarlet Bloom up in Scandinavia somewhere, and Hari Priya and Tungarasa Dasi and anyone else who's. I opened my Skype this morning to check my camera to see if it's working all right. I found a message from Madhusudana Maharaj from November, and I haven't been on Skype in a long time. And so he was encouraging me. So if Madhusudana Maharaj, if you're out there, then hello to you and thank you for encouraging us in this meeting. And that was, the message was November 29th, a bit after or on the day that Vaikanish Maharaj disappeared. And he said, well, you know, we have our passports and our visa. All we need is our ticket to go on to the other side, and we'll see Vaikanish Maharaj on the other side there in the Kirtan of Mahaprabhu. But I'm not ready for that yet. And so I'm very happy that you've all invited me for this. And I'll close my mouth here. And Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Hare Krishna.
Like, Ora Hari Bol.
Gaura
Thank
Hari
you
Bol.
very much, Hare Krishna.
We'll see you soon.
Haribol, Dandavad to all.
Thank you very much for joining, and lots.
Thank you, Sivasena.
Dhanyavad. Dhanyavad, Prabhu.
Dandavad.
Dhanyavad.
Happy New Year to everybody.
Happy New Year.